Alright, we are go.
Happy Friday today, but whenever this comes out, it'll be that day. But today it's Friday, so.
It often comes out on the next Friday. It tends
Right,
to be
so
like
Happy Friday.
Yeah.
Ooh, that is strong. Ooh,
It is-
that's good.
this is the strongest strong coffee
So we
ever.
got classic coffee tonic, but I really call it coffee tonic SCREMF or something. It's fucking
this?
strong.
So yeah, it's Old Man Strength and West Side Barbell blend with a cinnamon stick, 24-hour cold brew. So yes, we will drink lightning and crap thunder.
Yeah.
Mickey will be proud of us.
Yeah.
And some Stroopwafels too.
Burgess Meredith. Anyone
Yeah.
getting that?
Yeah, but he was in a lot of other movies too. But
Damn,
Mick was the best. Yeah, and Rocky is our favorite documentary series.
Right,
By the way, so.
So we have some Stroopwafel. Whatever the fuck that is, but it looks good, smells good.
They're better with hot coffee because they get a little warm. But take a bite and take a sip of coffee, and it'll blow your freaking mind. Worked pretty well.
The texture is really nice.
Wasn't it cool?
Yeah, it's good.
Honestly, I'll Target right now, baby.
Yeah. Like a little caramel filling.
Super good snack.
Yeah, I was reading about these because my cousins just went to Amsterdam and had a bunch of these and shit, I think. So, ironic that they're in my mouth right now.
Hey, timing. I picked up on it.
So, I'm getting into Lost Connections.
Our first Coffee Regular book. We both now have finished it. So, you have finished it. Okay, you quoted like near the end. So,
Yep.
I was thinking you were done.
I finished it, yes.
You were.
And I just opened it up and I was like, yeah, that sounds good, Instagram. Yeah, phenomenal book. Literally kind of change the scape of how you think about stuff. Well, depression, more so.
It does a lot. I like that it added the social element to it without being demeaning at all. But it also kind of demystified the whole broken brain thing in a way that's not going to hurt your feelings.
Yeah.
That it's actually much more empowering, like, well, shit, this is fixable.
Right.
Rather than, it's not, it's...
I think it's...
Rather than yelling at someone like, it's your fault, motherfucker. It's not your brain.
Exactly. I mean, I think that broken brain kind of theory just reinforces like negative self-talk. It's like, you're versing yourself every single day. Like, and I can talk to that because that's how I thought for a long time. Like,
there's nothing I can fucking do about this. I gotta overpower it. Yeah.
Right. So, just kind of taking that stigma away from it too I think is incredibly important.
Yeah, I think it's super amazing.
Yeah. It's, I mean, just the way he talks about the solutions to it too. He starts to tie in the solutions.
We haven't talked it since you've read the solutions chunk.
Yeah, so like it's more, I mean, I think like he talks about SSRI drugs and like kind of just like, those kind of very common drugs that everyone's kind of getting pumped onto very easily. Like,
yeah. I kind of want to do a psilocybin guided psilocybin trip now, just to see what pops out.
Right. Yeah.
Dang. I don't know I don't want to do that with anyone I know necessarily though, because I don't know what's going to pop out.
Yeah. But between this book and then there's a book by Terence Mckenna with like it's all about more so like psilocybin, but it ties into this. References the SSRI drugs and blah blah blah. So like that would be a good piggyback if you want to get into like if you wanted to dive deeper into that same kind of thing.
Next episode we'll be in the Amazon rainforest.
We'll be tripping balls on ayahuasca.
We'll be licking frogs and taking ayahuasca with a shaman.
Yeah. But yeah, tying in the solutions. It's, I think, like tying back to SSRI drugs, but like I think SSRI drugs or just drugs in general are so invasive and just I hate taking.
I don't like to take anything, man. Yeah.
I hate drugs, and even like
I don't even take painkillers.
Yeah, ibuprofen.
Ibuprofen's as far as I go.
I haven't touched ibuprofen in a while. It's like good. It's nice.
I very rarely touch it. Like, I mean, I popped this rib last week and haven't taken shit.
Yeah.
But
I'll prefer just kind of like hanging out.
Yeah,
sitting still and just like relaxing.
Be with it. Yeah, relax and be with the pain and let it speak to you.
Exactly.
Like in the book, when he was sick, it's
a signal.
It's going to tell us what's wrong with you.
Yeah, there was a lot of times where I felt that way throughout life. I'm like, this pain right now, it's a signal to something else. I didn't know though. I didn't know what it was calling to, so I had to.
I couldn't explore it.
Right.
Yeah.
And yeah, again, like very wrapped up in that kind of closed-minded, broken brain type of thing, and that feedback loop that way.
Well, you didn't know it was a closed-minded thing.
Yeah, I know it wasn't exposed. I didn't know shit.
You trusted who told you that.
Well, that and like, fuck, you listen to, growing up when I grew up as, advertising mayhem. You have drug ads every 10 seconds, like, feel sad? Like, yeah, like...
We've gotten rid of cable, so now we gotta watch commercials again. Although I have a thing where I can record stuff. I hooked it up, but... If we want to watch anything live, like the pause and fast forward, we can do that, but we just don't. And we've been watching commercials, and my daughter's like, "Why is every other commercial for some drug with 1 million side effects? I don't get it."
Because it makes people save so much money. And like Johann Harri talks about the big pharma aspect, and it's consumerism and all of just making money.
There's too much money in it, man. Yeah.
Yeah, there's literally too much money in it, and like that's where the ethics kind of go out the window too. It's like there's so much money in it that they can't not pump it. You know what I mean? Like,
well, cause I'm burned through that waffle, man.
Dude, that's fucking good. I'm hungry.
You want another
Friday.
one?
Okay. But they do help some percentage of people, so like there is a population
that read to me a lot like ADHD drugs, where literally, I don't know the figures anymore, but years ago, I saw a really good study on that, and literally 1% of children diagnosed with ADHD actually had it and actually needed drug treatment.
Right.
1% of all people that were given drugs needed it.
Yeah.
And I think that read to me very similar to that, of that it sort of lines up in that way, of that there are a small percentage of people that need treatment. You need drug treatment, but it's a tiny, tiny percentage.
Right, and I feel like it's very extreme. Like, and like day to day, it's not the case.
I don't think the parameters for it are specific enough. I don't.
I mean, there's not enough fucking research anymore. I mean, there is now, but like,
there's now, but even now, it's new.
Right,
it's still super new.
So new, and then on top of that, it's gonna be so hard to break out of that big pharma model too. Like,
well, it's hard to break out of any model, but especially in the States, it's hard to change things. I was having a conversation about communism with someone the other day, and I was joking. I said, the one upside of communism is China actually nationally had this plan to build a bunch of coal mines. And someone changed their mind and literally just crossed out coal mine and put solar and wind. And that's it. Like, you don't have to go through anything.
Yeah.
And just dictator says go.
Yeah.
Everyone must change.
Right.
And I'm like, there's a certain niceness to that. It's probably a pain in the ass to build, but that's cool.
Right. That's interesting. But yeah, just when it came to exploring certain groups of depressed people,
that was really cool.
That was really interesting. Just they said, XYZ, but what else is going on? What else is happening in your life? That was the big breakthrough. Was starting to ask certain things.
It's like an episode of House.
Exactly, asking past clinical bullshit.
Yeah, when you go past the clinical bullshit, you figure out that they actually had a broken toe that wasn't fixed, and that's why they're fucking dying. Put the toe back in place.
Yeah, exactly. Or, something like that could lead, their toe fucked up, their ankle fucked up, they had to stop working, they get blah, 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 they get laid off, depressed. But, it's a huge
But
circle.
you see the whole chain, and you kind of go back and fix all of it.
Right.
But,
and that's very interesting.
I liked, what was it, in Kati? That apartment community in East Germany?
In Kati, yeah.
Yeah, where they built the whole thing to block the road, and everyone started getting together, and then you had the dudes from the gay club were like, yeah, you can have your meetings here, and then the Muslims and the Germans and the immigrants all show up at the gay club, and everyone's friends, and then they
formed a new melting pot.
But when they started hanging out with each other, and united under one common goal of just keeping their rent down and not wanting that woman to kill herself. They started seeing each other as human.
Yeah.
And
everything starts to, it just opens the flood.
And it just opened up, and all of a sudden everyone liked each other, and they didn't really give a crap about what they looked like or their lifestyles. They were just good people.
Yeah, they just started taking care of each other.
Yeah.
That's where a lot of that tribe aspect comes in. Like just taking care of one another, and everyone had a role, and everyone had this,
Yeah, and everyone sort of developed a role and played to their strengths and helped each other out, and were really open about helping out. It wasn't an ego thing. It was, I can fulfill that need for the group and for you, or like that. Like when the old man and the punk kid were together.
Yeah.
And the punk kid was like failing out of school, and the old dude was like, "Bring your homework. When we're gonna sit here, I used to be a teacher. We're gonna go over everything." And the kid starts getting A's and starts turning his life around. And but two people that would have never otherwise even looked at each other.
Exactly.
End up being great friends.
That's why I made that post, like when I did and stuff, and said what I said and like quoted what I quoted, because like that's jiu-jitsu to me. Like that's the tribe, that's the that's my way of being able to like bring people in, hopefully give something back, and like try and do my best to like take care of someone if I can, whether that's just them coming in training or like being like, hey, I got some shit going on, whatever. Like
or even if they come and train and they feel better.
Exactly. Like I know.
They don't have to say anything. They just come and train.
Being there is that. So and then hopefully they can pick something up from teaching and rolling, and they take value from it. So.
The physical contact of it. He talks about that a lot in the book too. Right. Of like, the cool thing about jiu-jitsu, especially as a martial art, is it's physical contact with no strings attached.
Yeah.
Right. Oh, you're literally just hugging someone for rounds at a time. You just hug people for an hour.
Yeah.
But you don't think of it that way.
But there's still the chemical
But there's still chemical reactions. There's still, still dopamine being released. Y'all get to kind of love each other.
Right.
You don't know why.
But that
part of why.
And just.
But then it makes you feel better, and you don't have to like it takes away the stigma and the nervousness and the anxiety of touching another person.
Right.
And then you get the benefits.
Yep. And that's a literal physical connection, and then that can start to be that sort of like spiritual connection for you, just because you're connecting, kind of being present there, and blah blah blah. But just the ability to be present and helping yourself, helping someone else, like that's
at the same time.
Yeah, exactly. And not necessarily be like expecting anything. You know what I mean? You're both kind of in the zone, doing what you're doing, like in terms of rolling, flowing, drilling, all that.
Turns
stuff.
the right brain on, turns the left brain off, kind of thing. No,
exactly. But the saying like loneliness, that aspect kills a lot of people too.
Loneliness is horrible, man.
Even if you're super lonely, coming to jiu-jitsu an hour a day, 5 times a week, that's more human contact.
Because you can be lonely in a room full of people, but when one of those people wraps their legs around you, it's hard to be lonely.
Right. Slapping, bumping, smiling.
Rolling. Yeah, and you can continuously, meeting new people. But there's no you don't have to say hi.
Yeah.
You don't have to initiate. You don't have to even learn everyone's name. Just new person. Go.
And on top of it, like jiu-jitsu is already so weird and like interesting and strange in itself. Is like it's already agreed upon that like, you know what, we're fucking doing it.
Yeah, we're just weird. What was it one time when Ward made a weird quote about like ogres or orcs or something? And said some weird ass movie quote. He goes, "I know it's kind of weird and nerdy, but I'm like, it's why we're all here, Ward. You're fine.
Yeah.
It's okay, man. We're all that way.
We're all, in some way, shape, or form. It's like, or we associate in like these goofy kind of ways, but like
well, we're all a little bit out there.
Yeah, especially that's
part of why
even more so. It's like magnified in jiu-jitsu, but then it's glorified too. It's not like frowned upon.
No, it's magnified and accepted and glorified and laughed at and helped through, and everyone's just sort of like, yeah. Oh, we all got pajamas on. We cool, man. It's fine.
Yeah, like we all look goofy as shit, So
that is definitely one of those things where you look at yourself. I look cool in this gi.
Right.
People who don't train are like, "What the hell is wrong with you?
Fucking idiot."
Yeah. Take the bathrobe off. You're in public. Yeah.
But I was kind of like thinking about it. Just like I started wrestling when I was like 13, 14, and now I'm like 26. So like half of my life has been sort of like doing.
Oh, you've hit it.
Thing. Yeah,
I remember when I hit that. When I hit that
like,
mark, I was like, "Holy shit! I've been doing this stuff for half my life."
Yeah, it's like that's.
Whoa. Yeah.
So that's interesting, just to kind of realize that, and like to think about the connections that I've made and lost throughout that period of time, and
it is interesting, isn't it?
It's really interesting to like look back and just think about.
You've done it long enough to kind of have multiple lives in it.
Yeah,
and kind of
multiple life cycles of
just sort of
birth,
reset, birth. Yeah, I'm in that right now. That's funny. I was I'm out with this rib, so I've been watching class, and I was during warm ups the black belts kind of hang out and chat with each other and laugh and stuff, and I'm watching the dynamic, and I like had a memory of when that was me, and I don't think about that time of my life much, even though it was like most of my life. But like I just kind of remembered, like my daughter always brings snacks for some of the black belts, right? And they're like showing off their snacks, like I got the food. And I remember doing that when people would bring me food, I'd brag about it, be like, look what I got, and and it was a weird moment. It messed with my head to kind of remember my old community and where I was at one point in that community, and then kind of be in my new community, and I'm just like
observing it.
Yeah, observing that as like a white belt parent, and no one really knows what I used to be,
and like what that means.
But that I know what that means, what they're doing, and but like in my position I am now, I shouldn't understand that. And it was I just kind of just rolling through it in my head.
That's a whole lifetime within, and you're not even at the halfway point, so
Yeah.
I think having experiences like that shows you that you're doing stuff right, even though you're fucking up.
Yeah, it's nice.
Whether you classify that as failing or fucking up and moving on, it's not.
I think for me, like in relation to the book, it sort of allowed me to be okay with the reset, and to see, sort of failures of the past life.
Yeah.
Of that, I got to start over again and correct a bunch of things, and be cool with that, and be like really happy that the opportunity popped up.
Yeah.
And so I don't dwell on the past as much.
Yeah, that's a lot of interesting things came up in the book that you're like, oh, I've gone through that portion of this journey kind of thing,
Yeah,
and you're like,
definitely.
You're like, oh, that's really interesting to see that someone else did almost like an identical thing, but with a totally different setting and life.
I always see it like sort of seeing some of the same processes.
Yeah. And I think just recognizing the pattern throughout history and throughout the populations of people that he interviewed, and like just populations of people and groups of people, like starting to pay attention to that. Like,
seeing some of the common patterns was oddly comforting.
Yeah, exactly. Because that was a big thing. Like growing up, like no one around me was like acting anxious. I didn't know, so I was like, I kind of like learned to kind of blend in and like make it stop.
Yeah,
physically.
Just kind of
But inside I was fucking wrecked. So like, but and that's the thing. Like once I normalized it publicly, but I was on the inside sucked. But like, you don't talk about it obviously, so you don't like know if someone's like, hey, me too, kind of thing.
Yeah, and people don't understand. Like you don't know that someone else is gonna understand, so you don't say shit.
And that's the thing too. Even if like someone did, I wouldn't know what the fuck to say.
Yeah, what are you gonna say? And then most of the time, people like if you're, I don't know, if you're like freaked out in front of anyone, then it gets weird.
Exactly.
And they say shit to hurt your feelings, or
exactly. It's just not handled well. It's just like it just creates that circle of just like.
And then there's this bad loop of like, well, I'm not gonna say shit to that person ever again
because
because
all down.
Yeah.
Oh. So like then later on I have to deal with that shit, but like there's just plenty of callbacks that I'm like, oh wow, that's interesting to have experienced that and to like recognize that someone else experienced that too, and just realize that I wasn't alone. Like I know I haven't, and like years past, like since you've known me and stuff, I've done tons of emotional work and shit, and like
you've made great strides that I didn't even know about. But yes.
Right. But like that just comes from like basically like unpacking years of just like going through shit,
just unpacking and go through it.
Your shit,
Go back to episode 1.
Yeah,
Listen to us unpack our shit.
Unpack the shit.
We'll unpack it all throughout the course, right?
Right.
What?
But again, that's like is the path back to happiness, and it's just recognizing like, oh, this pattern worked. This was a positive thing. This was a negative thing. Just not judging yourself too much for especially past things, but like just judging yourself in current action. Like,
Yeah.
you're gonna make mistakes, you're gonna do things, but you're gonna you gotta learn from them.
But if you're able to learn from it, if you're able to turn your ego off and say, all right, I screwed up there. Well,
Right.
what did I do wrong? Okay, cool. And then you're like, where's my environment that I chose? Where'd that go wrong? You know?
And that's why I think the psychedelics, the psilocybin is interesting, because it's an ego dissolver. Like, it makes you face your shit.
I have really vivid dreams, so I often I can review my life in my dreams. I can go back to shit that's just like old memories. But I'll be like 2-3 years old kind of stuff, or I'll like act out like something that's pissing me off, or I'm really happy about, or something in my dreams. The thing about the psilocybin is I like to be able to do that awake,
Right?
because I can have lucid dreams. But a lot of times shit gets too crazy and I wake myself up.
Yeah.
And I'm like, damn it.
Lost control.
Yeah, lost it. Like, so to have something like that and not wake myself up per se, I think would be very useful. It's also really scary because what pops up?
Right.
What's going to happen? Maybe it's some shit I don't want to remember. You know what I'm saying? Like,
but what if, that's the thing, even if it's something, I think, in my opinion, you'll face something and like, it's not that you'll be unequipped.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It won't be like, holy fuck! Like,
that's why you need the spirit guide. Yeah.
Yeah.
You need someone sitting there holding
like,
your hand.
He said it too, like bad trips happen and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
But, a large percentage of people are better off.
Well, and I mean, just from research done on acid, actually, is trips are really, really dependent on mood and environment and what you want it to be. So hence why I was like, in the clinical setting, you could set all that up and sort of prep somebody to want this to be a healing thing, and they get to go into that with that in their mind. And that's a lot of things in life anyway.
Right.
Like, honestly, like, it's your mindset when you show up. You want it to suck, it's gonna suck.
Yeah.
And you want it to be great, it'll be great, even if it's the same thing. Even if it does suck.
Again, it's... but yeah, it's like he kind of talks about, like, it's confrontation without the, I don't want to say discomfort, because it is
it's uncomfortable, but without, I don't know, there's more to say than without the ego. Where are we going? It's confrontation without wanting to win necessarily, or without having your feelings hurt if you lose.
Yeah,
there
isn't that human consequence to it.
Yeah. The consequence is understanding.
Yeah.
And so, like, you can trudge through it for a second, you can come out at the end. Like, when the dude that he described in the book of, like, how he met his father in the waterfall, and his dad hugged him and was like, it's okay, man. Yeah. And how life-changing that was for him.
Yeah.
Was really cool.
Yeah. Secret time. Might have to edit it out. But in college, I did acid once.
You were in college?
For a 2-year period, yeah.
I don't believe you, you liar.
I know.
You liar. I thought you just went in and sat in that class.
The one time Sean pulled me out, I was that class. It was lucky that I was that class. I mean, lucky, but if it's not lucky, though, because if I hadn't fucking been in class
that day, wouldn't have gotten you, it wouldn't have never happened.
So the one day I went to fucking class.
Stupid college.
Catalytic converter chopped. But anyway, kind of with that experience, like, it is an ego dissolving experience.
Is it? Okay.
Yeah, like, and the best way I think to put it is like, so you, like, in our realm, this realm or whatever, there's gaps, I suppose. And when you are in that kind of mindset, you fill out the rest.
You could fill in the gaps.
Yeah, you kind of fill everything out, and kind of gives you that kind of
experience the bits of reality that your senses don't imprison you to.
Yeah, and you just kind of see the rest. If I could put it that way, I guess you see what's really going on.
Okay, I've done that without any drugs before,
yeah,
so that's weird, but okay.
Yeah.
But take away oxygen and you can do some pretty sweet trips, bro.
Yeah. So you'll start to release the same shit in your brain.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's... And the interesting thing, after, like, weeks after, I felt great.
Oh, it really did just sort of cleanse you. You're like,
yes.
I feel awesome.
Because it was actually right after something kind of shitty happened, blah, blah, blah. Like, when my grandfather had died, and there's this and that. But, like, I wasn't, like, doing it to, like, dissociate or anything. I was just like, yeah, it's probably a good time to like go on a kind of spirit quest.
Well, that's probably because of the way your kung fu mind works.
Exactly.
You wanted to go on a spirit quest, and you saw the opportunity, so it worked out.
And it's interesting because I had in like my conscious brain, I had this image of like this shadowed kind of like person just sitting.
All right.
But in my brain, I knew it was me.
Oh, right.
Right. So it's kind of I'm just sitting there, kind of like in an open path or like open like clearing in like a forest or some shit. You don't see my face, but like I'm just sitting there, right? So then that experience or whatever kind of clarified what that was. It was me just sitting there kind of reflecting and just always taking things in and reflecting. But then after all that, like the weeks after, like I wasn't sitting anymore. I was walking. I was moving.
Oh.
I was moving forward.
I gotcha.
It's really weird.
It reminds me of a dream I had once, yes.
Yeah.
But, or meditation hallucination, some sort of thing I had once. But
yeah, some people say they like see God and talk to God and all this stuff. I don't know if I had that type of thing, but
maybe.
It makes you see things a lot different.
Connect with universe.
Yeah.
Universe connect back.
Yeah.
Okay.
But yeah, the weeks after were really interesting.
Very cool.
Yeah. And I've heard of people like doing microdosing a lot, and like that sustains a lot of that. You know?
I'm come and go on the idea of normalizing something like that.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to sustain it with doses. I've never done any drugs at all, but if I would like to go there just to work out some stuff in my brain that I can't get to, but I would like to do it sort of, in the 3 or 4 like large dose applications,
and the chunky one,
and just let it go. Like I'm kind of a win or go home kind of person. Like might as well just dive all the way in.
Yeah. And then that's more so from like that Terence Mckenna book, like kind of using that. Like it was more. I think they used a lot, like tested some of it, like anxious and depressed people, obviously, but just small, like different stuff, not levels. To get to a point of any type of hallucination at all.
Yeah,
necessarily even
just enough to open you up a little.
Yeah, just enough to be like, I'm okay.
Yeah, just enough to melt that first layer.
Right.
Yeah.
But it wasn't like an incapacitating type of thing. But yeah, very interesting stuff.
Well, that's cool.
Yeah.
Well, okay, we should steer away from the drugs.
Yeah, probably, I guess.
Yeah.
But it's interesting. He even talks about like his last book, the Chasing the Scream book.
Yeah, I'd like to check that out.
I need to read that too.
Yeah, that sounds pretty cool.
Yeah. All of his stuff in here, each different shift and different story I loved.
Yeah.
It was totally different.
I like the flow of the stories shifts because I like that he presented it in a way that it was as he discovered it kind of thing. As I'm running around the world talking to all these people, and then here's my reaction to it, and here's what happened, and here's the information they gave me. That was a mark of a good storyteller.
Yeah,
it was very much really solid, good scientific information tucked into a story. It was almost I don't know, it was very like elementary school-ish in that way of when you're a kid, you learn everything through stories and music and dancing. Right. It was sort of that kind of thing. Here's a really good story filled with great info, but you're going to be wrapped up in the story. Yeah. And
you are fully wrapped up, because I think you are fully wrapped up that way. Like it makes you take the message a lot.
Oh, you take it a lot. It's much easier to understand. It's much easier because you're emotionally invested in the outcome. Like basically, you just want to see him turn out okay. You want this information to work for him, and he applies it, and you want to be. And then you kind of you look forward to learning how he got out of it, and that was it's very well written in that respect.
I agree. What was the Cotty story your favorite?
That was definitely, I think overall, I think that was my favorite. Just I like that idea. Yeah, I think that's just really neat. That reminded me of training. Right. The school that's identified with it that way. But I liked other stories I really dug were the one about the bike shop, and then the one about the reservation that had the casino, but instead of keeping the profits, they distributed it to everybody in the tribe. Right. And they got what started out as like $5,000 and went to $9,000 a year of just universal income, and how that changed people's lives. So they just took the edge off life. And it changed and then they had that one town in Canada that did that, and how it changed working environments, and employers had to provide a better working environment and better pay to keep people, and people were okay taking time off to be with their families, and
there were literally less doctor visits.
Like physical drastically less, and it ended up saving them tons of money, and people were making more money because they had this guaranteed security blanket of money that it made their life and that was a weird chunk for me to read at the time, because then my wife's been kind of grilling me about like, kids almost grown, what are you going to do?
Right.
I'm like, God damn it. What am I going to do? I'm going to sit in my library and talk to Cheney. That's what I want to do. Damn. Yeah. But I started thinking about it, and I'm like, come on, universal income. Come on,
fill me.
Hook me up. That's what I need. Yeah. But just thinking about like, in my particular situation, how the hell do I get back in the world? I'm slowly figuring that out. But how much of a great security blanket would that be?
Sure.
If I was like, okay, I got something coming in, I can figure this shit out.
Right.
And that would be, it'd be neat.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
Yeah.
But then we'll just grow the podcast into a monster.
That's the plan, right? Coffee monster. Speaking of which, are you starting to like see like, I don't know, ghosts yet?
Yeah, I definitely feel it.
My brain is
I'm in another realm for sure. Caffeine's a wicked drug in itself.
Yeah, but it's not. Oddly enough, I don't know if it's the tonic or just the two awesome coffees mixed together.
I think it's an ensemble.
I'm not jittery or freaky. I'm just like, but my mind feels like
elevated,
vascular, man. Yeah. Like all the blood flow is in the brains, all parts of it. Yeah.
All channels are open.
Yeah, definitely functioning on all channels right now.
But I think kind of that with the tonic too. It's the fever tree, right?
Yeah.
So like that's good shit. It's kind of an entourage effect with coffees. These two strong coffees for a long steep, and
it's all. I got more. You want some more?
No.
I may die.
Yeah, I was gonna say like now these colors in this bowl are starting to look weird. So.
They're telling you something, man. They're telling you some shit.
But there's just so many. I highly recommend reading this book. I guarantee somebody, if not yourself, that's dealing with some element of this.
And it'll open you up to people as humans. It does a really good job of every person that's talked about in the book. Whether on just a cursory level or on a real in-depth interview level, even all the doctors and psychologists are presented as people, not as experts, not as victims,
right,
not as anything other than just humans.
Yeah,
and go back to the storytelling bit. Everyone is presented in that way so that you can identify and have empathy for them, and then be able to put yourself in their situation in some aspects and pick a thing or two out of every bit of the book that at least I could, where I was like, oh, I get that.
Yeah.
There was a part of my life where I was there and I understand what's going on. And it really opened my brain up to like, I don't know, judging people, sort of your initial judgment of people.
Yes.
And you're like, hey, why am I doing that? Oh, okay. You can kind of pick out your reasons and then kind of wipe the slate clean.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I understand that. Just because, like, on my own front, like, I found myself judging people. It's probably just coming from, like, a place of anxiety, or it's coming from that, like, oh no, that kind of that same place. So it's just recognizing it and being able to kind of quell it.
But you have to sort of objectively observe it and be like, oh yeah, okay, that's what I'm doing.
Or even if someone's like acting that way towards me, it's like, well, you know what?
Yeah, you can kind of diffuse it and be like, all right, they got their reasons,
right?
And
not a big deal.
Not going to take it personal. Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that this book can help you approach things a lot better. Just having the cultural shift to the approach of dealing with that sort of thing and people, people in general, really, like just being nice to people, for fuck's sake. Like,
well, being nice to people, but also not being scared of people. And so if you take away the prejudgment, is it this book that you talked about? No, I don't think it was in this book. I think it was something I was watching about the brain. But yeah, and it connected with this book for me about long-term meditators, how they can handle pain better. But it's not because they feel it less, it's because it takes away the anticipation of the pain, which knocks all that sort of pre-pain away, and then they feel it really intensely more for a really short window of time, and then it goes away. And I was trying to explain that to my daughter. I said, here's why we tough. Because she had a loose tooth, and I was going to rip it out. I was going to pop it out for her, and she's like, nah. She hates that. She likes to like let them hang on and fall out on their own. But I was like, I can pop it out. And I even showed her a picture of Wonder Boy Thompson doing it. I'm like, this is my exact technique. Like, this is what I was going to do right here. Right? You conveniently put that on Instagram for me. Thank you. But and she's like a super tough dude, right? And so I was kind of explaining to her why she was like, why it felt like it was going to hurt more. I said, it's because you're afraid of it. Every other painful thing in your life, there's zero anticipation. You just accept that it happens and you move on with your life. That's why it doesn't hurt that bad. With this, you're all freaked out. It already hurts.
Right.
Before anything even happens. And she's like, oh, yeah, man. Yeah. And yeah, that was but yeah, Lost Connections like opened my brain up to, like, I don't know, connecting, like, to understanding that in a different way of, like, kind of connecting it to anxiety and, like, how I used to be really scared of public speaking. But I was scared of actually getting up there, and, like, I'd blow it out of proportion and be all just nuts. And then when I started teaching, literally I was just thrown in. One class. Can't let Doc down. Got to do really good at this. Okay. And then, and then I just did really good, because I kind of separated myself from my anxiety and fear and said, well, I got to do a good job for the class because my teacher trusted me to be good at it. And it was sort of like that, my way into, like, now I don't give a shit about public speaking. I speak for anybody.
Right. Yeah, I can definitely think of one of the first times I was like thrown in to do one. I was like, holy fuck.
What do I do? Oh, and you do the same. And like most of the time you do like the same like beginning thing anyway, and like try to think of it and you're like, oh my God, what is it?
And then, like, of course, and I'm like a 16-year-old anxious kid, like, my voice is cracking, and I'm just like, Jesus Christ, like, may as well just throw me to the wolves, But then, got over it, and here we are today. So.
And here we are, yep.
And I just haven't stopped for the last whatever period of time. But wouldn't maybe you'd trade it for something, I don't know, probably not, though.
I don't know, man, it's alright, bro.
No, that's a good line.
You're doing pretty good so far.
That's the thing, like, looking back, like, I wouldn't trade many experiences. Like, there's some like that were super shitty. I was like,
I don't know if I'd wish them on I wouldn't wish them on anyone else, but I don't think I'd trade them.
Yeah, I would definitely, like, wish that I could take certain other people's pains away during that period of time.
Oh, yeah.
It's, like, less encompassing.
Yeah,
in terms
definitely.
of my tribe at the time, right?
Yeah,
so, like, I wish it would be, like, centered on me, and then I'll deal with it. And
I'll take it all.
But it was,
fine.
Again, like, in terms of, like, tribes... if someone's hurting the tribe, it's going to affect everything. It's going to...
If the tribe's functional and good, everyone can fix each other.
Right.
Oh.
And that's a nice thing, too. Like, after effect of that sort of thing, you start to strengthen and lean on each other, and that's where it comes in, too.
That is nice that, they can sort of just know each other and need help.
That's the power of it. That's why it's necessary.
Yeah, it makes it a very good thing.
I don't think people can do that type of shit alone, clearly.
Yeah, clearly, I mean, it's a little more difficult.
It's tough. What else we got on this book? I loved it, though. I might read it again. I have a couple people in mind that I want to send it to and kind of get involved with.
Right on.
But I definitely want to read Chasing the Scream as well.
It's on the list for me. The ever-growing giant list.
Right.
I don't know. I'm currently reading a book about meditation.
Nice.
It's actually pretty cool.
I'm reading The Icarus Deception by Seth Godin.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. Now, I'm also reading Jackie Chan's second biography.
Sweet.
Which is awesome.
Yeah.
I have his first one, which I didn't realize was out of print. I have like a torn-up paperback version of it that's phenomenal. Tight. But it goes up to the year 2000.
So he had to update.
Yeah, well, this one, it actually, he starts kind of at the beginning of his life, but then it's just a different take. It's really very cool.
That's cool.
And it goes, a lot more into the 21st century stuff, too, which is quite nice. And
He's been busy.
Yeah, Jackie stays busy.
He's a busy guy.
Yeah.
Does he still do all of his own stunts?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He still does all his own stunts. He's just cut them down.
Yeah.
He doesn't do the crazy stuff anymore. He actually talks about that. How he's like, I'm getting older. Even though I feel like a child, I know that I cannot jump off these buildings anymore.
I saw Francis Ngannou was in Fast and Furious, or he was like taking
something. He
9.
was.
I was like, oh my god, that's hilarious.
Is it 9?
I think so.
Okay, because
Pretty sure it's 9.
I just want him to get to 10, so it can be fast 10 your seatbelts, man.
Holy shit! If that's what it is, I'll lose my mind.
How could it not be that? It has to be that.
Oh god.
That has to be the only reason they're making so many, so they can get to that.
How do those make as much money throughout this many? They still make a lot of money.
They're good theater movies, though.
Yeah,
they're explosions
Like
and
summer
car
blockbusters,
chases, and
yeah.
that's all. Charlize Theron is in them now, right?
Exactly.
And she
It's
said that's
almost
the only reason she's in them is because they're great explosion movies.
Yeah, and it's just getting to expendable level all-star cast type of shit.
Oh yeah, it's getting there. Yeah, it's getting the expendable level all-star cast,
and then everybody's a legend.
Which is, that's a fun summer film. That's the kind of big screen, good sound system film. You know what I'm saying? You're not going there for
explosions and fight. Yeah. You're not going there for some in-depth shit.
Yeah.
But I'm trying to think of who else I saw, because I've been looking at a bunch of fighters doing other stuff.
It's really expanding. It's very cool to see.
A lot of cool shit.
A lot of cool shit's happening,
Yeah.
and they're not getting too caught up by it. They're still able to fight. It's not like Rampage playing Mr. T.
Adesanya has his own podcast. I didn't know he had his own podcast already. He does.
Oh, that'd be funny.
Yeah, he's a cool dude.
He's nuts, man.
I like him.
He just flies off the handle. Yeah.
Yeah. He's tight.
I want to fight him.
I want to fight him. See how he does. I gotta pee again.
Again?
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
All right. Pause.
Yeah, hydrated.
Good.
Station.
I'm trying to find the pause button. And we're back. Mm-hmm. And where were we?
Talking about Adesanya's podcast and stuff.
Yeah,
just fighters and people doing other things, just the ability for people to do other things. I think
to branch out is very cool.
It's definitely
because fighting is intense and short.
Yeah, I think you should be laying your bricks elsewhere too.
These people that fight for more than a decade are freaking miracles.
Yeah.
Speaking of people who've been fighting for way more than a decade, Fatal and Rampage are going to fight in Japan on the Bellator card in Japan. How can you have
sad?
It can't be that's the most Japanese card ever, though.
Yeah, it is, but that's sad.
That's our pride, throwback,
that's Godzilla.
It is. I mean, dude, they're both in similar age bracket, so that could still be a pretty good fight.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? If it was, 15 years ago, that'd have been a great fight. Mm-hmm. But
they were
when they were at their peaks, yes. But that's still a good fight, and possibly the same fight. But yeah.
That's the thing. It'll be man. I just looking back, I just watched a video of Tito knockout Chuck.
That one.
I had just gotten around to watching it because I can't. Chuck's my boy, man.
Chuck's my guy, man.
And I hate Tito, so
Yeah.
If you're a Chuck man, you hate Tito, and
that's how it goes.
But he's fucking 50 or something,
Tito?
Chuck?
No, Chuck's
50.
If he's not 50, he's almost 50.
He's got to be 50.
Because he's a lot older than you'd think.
Yeah. And he's been around the block, too.
Yeah, I've been around quite a few times. And
so, it was sad to watch. I don't know why the fuck that happened. And you know what I mean? Why
he came back and knocked Tito out, man. Yeah. He came back in the third time Chuck won.
Yeah.
But that matchup was actually a long time ago now.
Yeah.
Chuck, was this in the UFC? Yeah.
No, it was that Golden Boy or whatever.
Oh, that one. Yeah. The Golden Boy one. Okay, never mind. I'm thinking of the UFC matchups.
Oh, those are all great.
Those are all phenomenal, yeah. But, dude, money.
Yeah. Money, and it's the champions I got one left in me. It's the last 8 have been rough. You sure?
You always have one. You always have one left in you. You're always going to think that.
Save it for the guy that wants your wallet. I guess. I don't know.
That's well. I understand that. You're not there yet.
I understand that, but
yeah, like
I understand.
It's hard to let go, especially if you're famous or were famous.
Yeah.
Like
psychologically, I'm sure.
Psychologically, they haven't moved on. They need to do something. Like, what else do you have in your life? Mm-hmm. Well, I don't know. Maybe nothing. Mm-hmm. That's all you are. Yeah. If that's all you are, you can't move on.
Or you move into the bar fight league, and then
bar fight league.
Mr. Penn.
It's not the '90s, dude. You can't just stand up at the tough guy competition and get into it. That's how Jake Shields got in MMA. That's how Jake Shields got in MMA.
Really?
He was at a bar and they were having a tough man championship. And they're like, "We need a fighter." And he's like,
I'm in.
Okay.
That's funny.
I'm going to put down my beer and kick this guy's ass. That was really fun. You can do this professionally? Okay.
I'm going to do that. That's funny. That's cool. Yeah, stories like that are funny too.
They don't happen anymore, but...
I know.
It's too professional now, sadly.
Right. So it's way too business-like.
But, hey, there's a million grappling leagues, so...
Right, yeah.
In my opinion, if you still want to fight, get into grappling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's the thing, you're seeing... Like Gabriel Gonzaga, like he's in grappling matches a lot, like grappling super fights. Like
he's popping up a lot
in some fucking grappling super fights. You're not getting hit in the head. Test your grappling a little bit.
It'd be interesting.
It'd be cool.
The overhand collar tie.
Yeah. the overhand snap down, and you fucking are sleeping on the mat. So.
Yeah.
But again, like you're saying, like. Famous. He was top level dude for a long time. He was the man.
They were in music videos and on TV.
And exactly. They're referenced.
Rappers talk about him.
Yeah, they're still referenced. Like, it's not like it was decades ago, but...
Yeah. It's a tough thing about being a fighter, man. Mm-hmm. There's a girl at Ronin who's a really good Muay Thai fighter. I once transitioned into MMA. And it's funny, she shaves the back of her head. She had a diamond in it. Nice. And I was like, that's a very good thing for a fighter to have. That's very... I said something about, what is it, how much is it worth? I said, market value, bud. It's a rock that people think is expensive. Mm-hmm. And she went, what? I said, it's a perfect metaphor for a fighter. You're as good as your last fight. That's what you're worth. And I love her. She's a great kid, but I'm like I got some wheels turning in her brain for a second there. I'm like, oh, I probably shouldn't have dropped that on her. She's too young.
Is that too early? Holy shit.
I think it's too early.
That's funny.
Yeah.
Nah, I think the earlier people are exposed to all that aspect, the better.
The public aspect of it, especially if cursory fight fans who just want blood, or ball sport fans who don't understand fighting at all. Oh, didn't they just lose? They suck now, right?
Right.
Yeah, no, they don't.
That's not how it works.
They're the same. It's fine, but publicly, it's what you're worth.
Different story.
That's how it goes. Yeah.
And that's just, I think it's really interesting, how it relates back to just how they do things outside of the ring. What they're doing outside of the ring is always what's gonna, I think, carry over.
Agreed, but finding a way to do that and still be able to be good inside the ring.
Yeah.
Because, any sort of combat sport sort of requires your life.
Exactly.
It requires everything. It's especially MMA, it's so in depth. Mm-hmm. There's so much you gotta do on a daily basis to be good at it. Mm-hmm. To balance that and then have the forethought to be I'm going to be a commentator. I'm going to take time out to fly to this place, do this commentating, get back home, get back to training. It's awesome to be able to pull that scheduling off. Mm-hmm.
And it's be professional there too.
Yeah, and I think it's essential to be able to find that kind of stuff. But it's not basketball, man.
No.
It's definitely harder. But I think the cool thing with fighters is they tend to be around other fighters when they're doing that. Mm-hmm. And so back when say not UFC Live, this would be after UFC Live, so say during the UFC Tonight days and the heyday of that, all the commentators that were fighters always talk about how they were training together before they shot. Mm-hmm. They were always sparring and training, and they would get together and everyone would train together, and then they would go do their episodes and then get together and train together after. Mm-hmm. Which I think is really cool, makes it a lot easier.
Yeah. And I think a lot of that, the team aspect in MMA is like getting not washed out like everyone else has their coaches and teams and shit. But like everyone trains with everybody.
The secret super team thing isn't as exclusionary as it used to be.
Yeah. It's very much so like this guy's good. He is good where I lack. I'm gonna go train with him.
Yeah, people cross over a lot more readily, even with someone they're going to compete against. You don't see that as much anymore.
Right.
Where like back in the day, Carlos Condit and George St. Pierre never even looked at each other, even though they were in the same gym.
Yeah.
They never even made eye contact. They didn't know each other at all. Whereas nowadays, that would happen. They would train and be like, "Yeah, we're gonna fight eventually." Cool.
Let's figure it out. Let's make it a good match.
Yeah, that's what make it a really great match. Yeah.
Business too, so make it a draw.
That too is making it separating business from personal has gotten a lot better. Of people understand the character of the fight versus the person a little bit more.
Yeah.
Like I saw an interview with Michael Bisping when he was getting inducted in the Hall of Fame, where he was talking about how great Chael Sonnen was at selling fights. And it was like he was really good. He was but he was also a really great fighter, and he was a really good, just a good guy. I'm happy for him. And I'm like, man, they fucking hated each other. And to have like come to that realization for both those guys, I think is really cool, actually.
Yeah, it is. Absolutely.
But I think fighters are doing that in their careers now. It's not after they're retired and they calm down. They're like, oh,
yeah.
A lot of like Israel Adesanya is a good example of that. He's very honest about I'm putting on a show.
Yeah.
It doesn't mean I'm a cocky asshole. It means I want people to get their money's worth, and I would like to get paid.
Yeah.
So I'm going to do this dance, and I'm going to beat you in spectacular fashion, and I'm going to say something cool, and then I'm going to do the interview, and this is how it's going to work. This is how it works. But
and especially like being like his background, like where he came, like what was his main style coming up?
I don't know. I mean, he started in city kickboxing, and like he was just a kickboxer.
Okay.
And his coach said, start with a kickboxing career, and then we'll move into MMA.
Yeah.
And I think that's just what it was. But he's also a breakdancer.
Okay, so yeah.
And so like that's kind of like dancing and fighting cross over so much.
And
rhythm is
personality too.
Yeah, and personality. Yeah, like it gives you a personality, but rhythm's rhythm, man.
But and that's where I think like. That's where he developed his personality and kind of cut his teeth there, and now it's paying dividends for him.
Oh, huge. Yeah, you can tell he put the practice in to develop that personality, but also develop a fighting style.
Like, yeah.
And then sort of have it reflect him.
No one's probably, realistically, like, again, casual fight fans probably weren't, casual MMA fans probably weren't looking into his kickboxing career to see, like, oh, he didn't always do that or this or that. I mean, like, this
no, he definitely evolved. He wasn't born that way.
Exactly. So just kind of, I think that speaks a lot to him. Just like learning the trend and, kind of making it work for him. And obviously he's been doing well. So.
Yeah, but I mean, to play to your own personality, I think is really important. Because then you're not pretending. Because, I mean, you've said this before, the truth is out there. Truth's on the mat, dude.
Yeah.
When you're fighting, the truth comes out. And if you're trying to lie, even if you're good, it's going to suck.
And
so you got to learn to be you.
People are going to pay attention to the good guy who is robust as opposed to the good guy who doesn't say shit.
Yeah.
Look at the champions, in terms of, personality. No one gave a shit about Chris Weidman when he was a champion. Because he didn't say shit. He played the Captain America humble card, blah, blah, blah. No one gave a shit. Like when he lost, everyone was like, whatever. But then you have people who are talking and like this kind of like robust personality.
I guess on the flip side though, you do have Rockhold who was talking a lot and everyone fucking hated him.
Right. Yeah, and that's a personality thing. Like, how you market yourself as a champion and all this stuff.
I think the humble champion's going to make a comeback, though.
Because look at Khabib. Look how he is.
Look how cool he is about it. Yeah, putting on Poirier's shirt and everything. And
what I'm getting at is more, it's a well-rounded champion as opposed to being like the...
Agreed. A well-rounded champion. But
the McGregor champion, right?
Who's... but McGregor had to happen for this to happen.
Oh, absolutely.
He was sort of sadly the logical next step. But he drug everybody into the mainstream.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I think he gave fighters the ability to bring their personality back into the game.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
But he did it in such an overdone way that people were able to be like, I'm bringing personality, but not quite that. And then other people tried to copy him, and they sucked.
Hey, like, don't do that.
And they sucked at it, and they're like, no, there's only one Connor. You can't do that.
And that's the thing. Like, he set that bar so high that that's what I'm saying. Bringing everything back.
Yeah,
he just fucking blew it out of the water.
Yeah.
So that's, I think, and especially like years from now, he'll be touted for that, and
that'll be a
he's
benchmark,
that, whatever. But he did this for us, and thank you.
Yeah, but this worked, and it was cool. And by then he'll probably be like chilled out and old, and he'll be fine with it.
Yeah,
be like, yep, did what I had to do at the time.
He'll be the humble Irish king.
Yeah, that'd be funny.
We'll see.
You never know.
Yeah.
Let's hope.
Yeah.
We got time.
Cool.
No, we're good. So any other thoughts on the book, bro?
I don't know. I loved it. I don't know. I can't recommend it enough. Got to read it.
Yeah, I mean, I do. I thoroughly enjoyed it. It's as you were reading it, like I kind of, I personally, I jumped back and forth between sort of like analytically looking at it, reading it as a story, and identifying with it. Mm-hmm. I would sort of swim around in that, and I would reread passages of it in like different states of thought. Mm-hmm. Just like how I identified with it in different ways, because I wanted to. I guess ultimately I wanted to remember it to reference other people, to help other people with it, so that I could have something.
Yeah.
And I did help myself a lot with it, but I did like the idea of sort of turning a lot of the information around in my head so that I could pick things out. It's the teacher in me, I guess, that just wanted to be able to like, I can see this in someone, and this is how he steered it. I could steer that. I could help that.
Exactly. I think, I do a lot of that. Sort of the same, like, just in terms of, I guess that is teacher brain, because, like, a lot of teachers who stay in it for a long time, like, are always trying to, like, strive to be what they needed and all that shit, so that's another extension of that. Yeah. And just being like, okay, like, I wish someone would have recognized this in myself earlier, so I'm going to hopefully kind of catch something like that, or, just be open to the,
just be open to people who can be comfortable around you.
Yeah.
And then they can learn and, improve and, avoid pitfalls of some sort. Yeah.
I think that's the thing, like, there have been moments that with students and stuff like that I've had that I wouldn't have like expected to have, Yeah. Like those are always kind of like oh yeah, like that's incredibly wonderful,
Those are neat.
That's the reminder, like that's really why it's like what it's for,
Yeah.
So I would love it.
Squishy pancakes.
I know,
cool.
I love it. It's this great texture. Got some squished pancakes in my hand.
Yeah, like squishies. Yeah, my daughter loves the squishies, so they hang out all over the house.
But identifying with even his teenage self, like
yeah, that bit at the end, man.
Right.
It's like, what would I say to myself if I was at this mall as a teenager when that first happened? That whole part, that would have been hard to write.
Mm-hmm. Oh, I bet.
Yeah.
That's like, because I was always hyper resistant to ever taking like drugs like that, like, and I didn't for a long time, and then I did for a little bit, and then I was like, yeah, this is not it.
Yeah. Good try. Cool. Yeah. Okay.
Like, it helped for the time being and, like, whatever, but then it wasn't, like, the answer by any means, so.
Yeah.
Then.
What? It was a step.
Yeah.
Gotta give it a shot, right?
It was. But it just, But then you have to do the rest of the work on your own and kind of dig through.
This was neat, though, to kind of see people doing the work. And sort of layer it of the steps of the work are put in different stories in different communities. And
exactly. Different communities all around the world, different times, different
times, different people. Yeah.
Same things are happening.
And it kind of laid out the steps that you could do on your own, like just by yourself, just personally, but just sort of, different times, different people, different places. And you kind of see repeating patterns. And that was neat. And it was kind of, I don't know, it allowed me to do a little bit of a, self-check on steps I've taken over the years. And then like, oh yeah, okay. And kind of give me some next steps and how to stay on the path kind of thing.
That
was very neat.
I think it was just kind of like but like, it's kind of talking about just reaffirming the path, right, and reaffirming the process,
reaffirming,
trusting that it is a process, and that, recognizing that.
I guess like it did demystifying trusting the process a little bit. It did allow me sort of to relate it back to my training, or relate it back to previous mental states I'd been in, and then see the process of how I've gotten to where I'm at now. And kind of remember where I was at certain times and been like, at the time, there was no future. I had I could not understand this. Yeah. And then be able to kind of go through this, put pieces together and be like, there's the process. Yeah. There's what you're trusting.
Because at the time, you're like, what the shit am I doing? What am I doing?
This is,
is this the right thing? Is this destructive? Is it this? Like, and then, hopefully you're on the right path. But like, you, again, reflect.
Kind of took the hope. It takes some of the hope out of it, honestly. Because hope is a guess.
Yeah. It makes the guess.
It takes a lot of the guesswork away, and like you're like, oh, okay, I can start piecing things together, which then for the future makes it a little bit more secure.
The book, exactly, because those types of stories inherently make you feel less alone in terms of
less alone, and by opening up the possibility of future. It, by definition, takes the depression, anxiety away, because what you're afraid of or what you're depressed about is the shit you can't predict.
Right.
In some cases.
Like one of the stories about one of the mothers losing her daughters, stuff like that. Like, dude, Jesus Christ, like just mind-numbing stuff. Like there were some, really shocking stories and stuff like that. But
yeah, that whole section on grief.
Yeah.
And how grief was treated for a time as a disease. That if you grieved, more than 55 minutes, whatever, like how they had a time limit.
Yeah, that's insane.
And then this is a mental disorder. And I'm like, no, you don't just get over death like that, guys. It isn't just like it's always thing. There. You just, that's, come on.
Yeah. But again, like there's at one point she was like, I really used my grief and kind of powered everything and kind of made everything through. And she's like, I don't want to live without it.
Yeah, you have to kind of embrace it and accept that it's there, because it's always going to be there. It's just, I don't know if your relationship with it changes. I have to think. Maybe.
I think you
most of the time
become just more familiar with it.
Well, yeah, you make friends with it.
But it's just first. I don't know. First time, I'm sure it's shocking and whatnot, but that's
it's always shocking. If you're talking about sudden death of loved ones kind of things, it's always shocking and it always sucks. But if you have a roadmap, I find that I have a roadmap of I can help people through that stuff, where I can kind of get myself through things like that, because it's happened a lot.
Yeah.
I'm like, okay. I know how to do this. I know how I'm going to react. I know what's going to happen. It's like, getting hurt and going into shock. I'm like, I know I'm in shock, so I have to lay down for like 15 minutes and wait for my vision to come back, and I'll be fine.
Reps.
It will be good. Yeah.
So that's what it is. Like, just getting reps that way. In a weird way.
Puts a real shitty spin on quality reps.
Right. But weirdly enough, though, like, I've had instances, though, like, I've had rough patches, and I'm like, in a weird way, I'm like, it's kind of conditioning. Like, it's, that's how I looked at it a lot of times. It's like, what, it's a rough one, but
I used to
get through it. Like,
I used to do that. Actually, I just saw this thing on Facebook from a mother of one of my old students. Like, I taught him when he was like 5, and he's a teenager now, and he teaches and stuff. And it's really cool to see. But he was having a really rough week. He's at school like 12 hours and working and teaching and training, and he's just like worn the hell out, right? And I was like, I just kind of wrote, suffer now and live your life a champion. Just something I used to say to myself all the fucking time. And I said, especially like in high school, and then when I got to college and had like many jobs and things, I just never slept. I'd be like, what I'm doing now makes everything else in life easy.
Yep.
No matter what, every bit of my life is going to seem simple. Because when this is done, I'm going to miss it, but I'm going to know how fucking hard it was.
Yep.
And I think of that all the time. I don't complain about much. I'll just get up and do shit, because I'm like, well, it's been worse.
Right. Yeah, exactly.
And I got to remember that, how hard that was. That's the conditioning. There's your reps.
So that was actually like an interesting side effect of like coming off of those drugs or whatever is because I lost my conditioning.
Oh no, you were deconditioned. Your feet were all soft. Huh?
Right, so I was like, oh fuck, that hurts. Like, so like learning to kind of recondition and kind of like naturally learn to kind of curb that a little bit was just kind of it was just like funny a little bit. It was kind of like damn.
I went soft. Shit.
Well, it's just like because that whole time was a period of reflection because like my brain kind of slowed down a little bit. It was quieter.
Cool.
Like I don't know if it was in this book, but one of the books I've been reading recently was it's playing the same music, but it's just quieter. The music is quieter.
Yeah.
And that was kind of it. So like I really kind of buckled down and used that quiet time to reflect and like really dig into it because I knew I didn't want to be on that shit forever. I was like, all right, I'm going to do this work.
Yeah, put the work in, use it for what it's for.
Right. So
that's cool. That's an interesting way to approach it. And then to have to be able to come out of that and have to sort of relearn some things.
Yeah, I was like,
was that neat as like an adult?
It made me recognize certain things, like how certain reactions that I would have that were super silly, or or just kind of like
right on.
Made me recognize things like like that's cute or something. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I used to react this way to that, or this.
Funny, I'm doing that. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's just again like period of reflection and adjustment and stuff. But it was like a callus being torn off, a little bit, like. And it's having that rawness there.
Yeah, wait for it to come back. I saw an excerpt of an interview with Mr. Rogers the other day. And it was he was pretty old, he had white hair. So it was, because like in my mind, Mr. Rogers has black hair.
Right.
Because I watched Mr. Rogers in the 80s.
Naturally.
So if he has white hair, I'm like, that was fairly recent. But he was talking about how he worried that children, and people in general, but especially children, didn't have any time to be quiet.
Mm-hmm.
And he, like, Mr. Rogers says everything in just a Mr. Rogers way. They need time for reflection and contemplation and time to dream.
Mm-hmm.
And he's afraid. He's like, I'm afraid that's going away. That no one's going to have time to just sit in silence.
It's almost frowned upon.
Yeah, and like one of the reasons, like, why I put the library in this room, and you've been looking at the banana the whole time.
All day. I love that banana.
That's why, dude. Like, the light's freaking great in here, by the way, but I can sit there and I can look at my gardens in my backyard.
Kind of take it in for the expanse and all of what it is.
And
just one piece.
Take it in as a whole thing, and it just lets my mind sort of wander.
Mm-hmm.
And I can sit here quietly, put the chair next to the window, and just look and be like...
Ponder.
And just dream a little bit and ponder, and it's a nice thing, man. But it is very frowned upon. It's hard to get people to do that.
Even if you look at it, like meditating and all that stuff is great, but like meditating is kind of like putting a task to it. Like,
it's a different thing.
They'll put it on like a to-do list, you know what I mean?
Yeah, it's like meditating and mindfulness are two different things.
Right.
Mindfulness is not meditation.
Right.
It's just another thing.
It's
meditation
practice.
Is meditation. Yeah. But also sitting and just daydreaming is not mindfulness.
Mm-hmm.
It's not a task.
Right.
It's hard to take
it's not structured.
It's hard to take the structure and the task and the goal and the reward out of everything for people. And just sit and let your mind wander and look at that banana tree.
Yeah.
And like, how many people no, my mind has to do things. Yeah. Like, no, your brain just goes. It doesn't have to do anything. But that's what brains do. They think. Let it go.
Exactly. And that's the thing, like, kind of like, again, referring back to, like, getting my calluses ripped off and shit. Like, the nice thing was I was conscious enough to be able to, like, rebuild it, hopefully in a healthier manner.
That's cool.
So I was like, okay, this is,
you were able to
recognize, do this.
Bit.
Yeah. Okay, take action to correct that, or shift this or whatever. So
that's goofy as fuck. We were doing the same thing when we met.
Yeah.
I had no idea.
Yeah.
That here I am all like, I'm gonna be a white belt forever, motherfucker.
Right.
Because I get to do this again, and I'm doing it right. And you're kind of doing the same thing internally.
Yeah. And that's even like just entirely internally too. Because I'm doing it very literally too, like in my day to day.
But then you were doing it very quietly.
Yeah.
I made it a point not to dig into your personality because I could tell you didn't want me to.
Because I didn't
profile you at all.
Yeah, I didn't have like a like a palatable thing to be like, this is what's going on, this is what I'm doing, you know what I mean? It was something to be like, this is it. I was just kind of in the process, so I just kind of like, it's like when, you know, you look at a fucking, like, I just, you know, YouTube videos when they're processing, you can't watch it yet.
Can't watch it yet, you just gotta
process.
Gotta process, so
that was my brain and personality for a while, like, it was, I was not necessarily
very much
shut down, but I was kind of like, okay, that's enough. Like,
no, there was a wall. There was a distinct wall there, and I would occasionally peek over it, and then be like, nope, you didn't want me to peek over it.
That's enough. That's enough. But now it's definitely like to the point where I'm just like,
there's a door there.
Cool, yeah.
Yeah, you know, you took the door out. You took the door. You built the door and possibly took it off the hinges.
Yeah, I have a couple windows, you know.
Yeah, it works.
You know, heavily locked, you know, some shades and stuff, but there's windows. You know?
But it's open now. Yeah, you know, you're cool.
Blinds might come open, but yeah, it's just, and I'm again now like looking back at that and just being fortunate for that and very grateful for that, you know.
It's an interesting time.
Because I get, you know, that's vulnerable times. Like, you know, I could have started making really bad decisions. I could have, you know, steered down some bad shit. I didn't, you know.
The chance was there.
Right. Man. Well, I mean, prior to all that, I did. So, like, that was another, like, recognition and be like, don't do that kind of thing.
Even Batman was a criminal for a little while when he was learning. He just wanted to know how to think.
He had a dark streak.
He wanted to know how to think, so he knew what he was fighting against.
Right.
Yeah, you know, it's okay.
Exactly. So, and that's too, just kind of giving myself permission to be like, you know, that was okay that you did that or went through that or like...
Learning experience, it's cool.
Yeah. Instead of just being like, you know what, you're a fucking idiot for doing that.
You're an evil fool. What's wrong with you? Yeah.
Oh, yeah, you know. Any person with anxiety will relate to the, you know, any type of image of someone laying open and with their eyes wide open in bed thinking about like some shit they said in third grade. You know what I mean? Like just something like that. Like, so I just learned to kind of like laugh at that as opposed to like dwell on it and like judge myself for it, you know?
Yeah, or like you laugh at it or just sort of be able to look at it and say, okay, why did I make that mistake?
Right.
How did I learn from that? How am I a better person now? Yeah.
Thought process and like what value, like what lesson can I extract from that? Like what can I take from it that's good? Not like, oh, all right, I was a piece of shit there. That's what I am today. Like,
yeah, no, it'd be like, maybe I was a piece of shit there,
right?
But okay, yeah, there's something I learned from that because I'm not that anymore. You know,
yeah.
I was actually doing that last night. I woke up in the middle of the night. You can always tell when I stop training. So then I wake up in the middle of the night, my mind's racing about some shit, and I'm like, really? Why am I connecting these thoughts? Like, come on.
That's the funny thing. It's just like, why that?
Yeah.
Like, why that? Why now?
Yeah. Why that? Why now? How did those two things get together? Like, I'm going down the list. I'm like, shut up and go to sleep, man. Come on.
And that's the funny part of like kind of refiltering through all that shit is like you don't always get to choose what pops up, you know?
No, it just pops up. Yeah,
you're like in that vulnerable state. You're like, oh fuck, that's coming. All right, fuck. Like,
yeah.
That's another form of kind of like self-confrontation, you know? It's interesting.
But to be able to be at a point where like to recognize it and just be like, fuck,
right.
brain, whatever.
Yeah. Well, and that like, this book reinforced that, but like. The broken brain theory and all that stuff. It takes away the enemy aspect, and again, it turns it into a signal. It's like, oh, maybe I should go and like have a hot shower.
Exactly. Yeah, it's better. It's more of a signal. It's like,
I like how he talked about just natural antidepressants, like everything.
Oh yeah, that's really cool.
Natural antidepressants.
The natural antidepressant thing.
Thinking of something as that is starting to make it that. Like you start to think of, I'm going to go for a walk. That's my morning antidepressant.
Well, I mean, you know, like I kept thinking about the whole forest bathing thing, and I'm like, I kind of have that in my backyard. Like, come walk through the gardens with me.
Yeah.
It's very much, you know, the forest bathing thing.
Right.
You know, go sit next to the tree for a little while, and yeah, like you feel better.
Yeah.
And to kind of have put that in this place where it's readily accessible.
So another example of that is like almost treating it like former self, present self sort of thing.
Yeah.
Former self would like look for band-aids and like look for
distractions.
Yeah. Just like quick things like whatever, like video games, some shit, whatever.
Yeah.
A bunch of coffee. Former,
current self still looks for coffee, just less coffee and better.
Self, but with some water and like some meditation or something.
Yeah, and it's like better and better coffee.
It's well rounded. Yeah, exactly. It's well rounded. It's better rounded into an experience that I think. I just like that's the thing. I took time to dig into like what I needed.
Yeah, to actually be able to find what you needed versus distracting yourself from shit.
Fuck yeah. Everyone should do that, whether you're anxious or whatnot.
I mean, but yeah, definitely seeing stuff as signals. Not just symptoms.
and not just jumping at the first remedy to that signal.
Yeah,
looking for the sustainable.
Dig into it and try
thing.
things, and figure out the sustainable solution to it is very nice.
Yeah, and like I don't know, my entire life I've always just tried to make things as like I don't know, as all encompassing as I can make them into certain ways, or just to kind of consolidate in that way.
Yeah.
So like those mental health. It's like teaching concepts. It's like a mental health concept.
I dig the concepts that can kind of snatch a bunch of things.
Yeah. It's like, okay, like this is going on. I could probably take care of it with this, and this,
Yeah,
whatever.
Hey, speaking of concepts, I finally got it. Okay, I had to tell you this because right after I popped the rib, I was still rolling, and like very early on, you were like, cut everybody off at the knees and the elbows. And so it's been in my head. And analytically, I understood what you meant. But I've been waiting for, I've been waiting to, really understand it.
An actual reason for it.
Yeah, to really get it. And at the time, so I rolled with this guy who was much, much better than me before class. And I popped the rib, and I was like, ow. Okay. And I kind of kept going, and we were scrambled. And I came up, and he tried to triangle choke me. And I, basically grabbed his thigh. And put my head above his knee, so like from the knee, between the knee and the hips. So that's what I mean by above the knee.
Right.
And I finally made the connection between a proper cover block and passing a guard in that way. Because when you do a cover block in Taekwondo, at least what it used to be, you got to block above the knee. If you're below the knee, you get your arm broken. If you're at the knee, you get your arm broken.
Yeah.
You have to hit the thigh. You have to block above the knee.
Before it's lethal.
But otherwise, your arm's going to snap because people kick hard. And I did that. I went above the knee and totally shut down his choke and passed his guard. Which, this is a guy, and I don't pass his guard often. And then I turned and my rib hurt real bad. And I was like, nope. And I'm like, I'm glad I did that before the rib hurt.
Yeah.
And I was like, oh, I know what it meant. Yes, I get it.
So that's your equal grab of positivity with the rib injury.
Yeah. Oh, and actually the rib injury ended up being good because it was an old injury, and I think I tore a bunch of scar tissue out, and it's actually healed in a better place now. Yeah. My diaphragm's all released.
I need that
and shit
on my left side. My left, dude, this rib is fucked.
Oh, it was my right side. Yeah, it was so great. But no, I had that whole epiphany, so I was more thinking about that than the fact that I was hurt.
Yeah.
And I was like, yes, I have to tell Janie. Yeah. I got it. This is so cool.
And that's funny because I told you that 3 years ago.
It was 3 years ago for sure. Yeah.
So, now it's coming into play.
And now I'm like, that's what I'm looking for. Well, that's another thing I've been waiting on. That I've been happy I'm a white belt because these are the kind of revelations I wanted before I moved on belt rank wise.
Yeah.
I'm like, I needed something like that to be like, okay.
Yeah. So
maybe I can take the next step now and feel okay about it.
That's something that's hard for me to portray, I guess, or make people understand is the bumps and bruises you get at each belt, that comes with time, but you need to learn those lessons. But the earlier you learn these lessons, the better you're off you're going to be.
There's certain
rush through belts.
But there's hurdles you got to jump before you move on.
Yeah.
There really are. And I mean, I don't know, I don't have to live vicariously through the belt rank. So I can just hang out and be fine. It doesn't hurt my feelings that people pass me up.
Yeah.
And I don't even see it as that. I'm just like, nah, I'm still here. Right. And so that's a nice sort of previous life experience thing to be able to apply. That's really, that's part of my I'm doing it right this time thing. But that was just a neat place to be, because then I started going in shock. Right. And I couldn't see, and I was all dizzy, and I'm like, but I got it.
Yeah.
I got it. I just got to get over and lay down on this floor here.
I'm going to take this to the dark side with
me. And I'm laying there all happy. And I'll be fine. My daughter's like, should I call mama? Do we need to go to the hospital? I'm good. Yeah. I'm good. Don't worry about it. I'm good.
Just give me a sec.
I figured out that whole cut off the knees and elbows thing. I'm good. I literally said that. Everyone's like,
what the fuck is he talking about?
He hit his head. He's going to die. Oh, jeez.
This guy's insane.
All right.
Yeah, I think that was good.
That was a good one.
Good, yeah. Lost Connections, Johann Harri. Get that book.
Just buy it. Get it.
Read it.
Own it. Read it multiple times.
Yeah.
No.
It's definitely one you should revisit too.
I want to revisit it in a little while.
And I want to ask exactly. Like I want to give it to someone, like let them read it, and then like read it again or some shit, and like talk to them about it. You know,
and kind of
spread it that way.
Yeah, it's this and coffee tonics. This is what we spread. Yeah.
But yeah, so keep your coffee regular.
Yeah, man.
As always, right?
Peace in, y'all.
Yeah.